Hello, my dear. So I'm using my 4K monitor, so you'll definitely want to watch this full screen and full HD probably, and maybe pause it a fair bit. So up here, you've got different layouts, and these are really useful. Because I've got loads of screen space, I generally tend to just have everything open, and I just use this one, which you can see I've labeled the date, 21st of August. So you can customize your own workspace, like drag things and choose which windows to turn on and off. That is really, really useful and so worth doing. Just so you don't have like this sort of thing, just like a whole waste of space, especially on your tiny amount of screen space. You really want to make the most of your working area. So full screen. And another just general tip, just before I go straight into the color grading stuff, which by the way you're going to access with hitting color up here, is just try and use the mouse as little as possible, or the touchpad as little as possible, because every time you're reaching for your mouse and then moving the cursor somewhere and clicking, you could just hit a button on the keyboard and your fingers are just already there. And since that's what editing is just hitting buttons, even though it only feels like you're taking 1 second to move your mouse cursor somewhere and click on something and then click on something, when you're doing hours of that, you're literally quartering the amount of time you're spending doing something. And this piece of software is incredibly efficient. So if you feel like you're doing something repetitive, like for example, you like the color grade on this shot and you want to copy it to other shots, that sort of thing, there's going to be a more efficient way of doing it. So for example, up here is effect controls, and that's going to show you the effects that are active on whatever clip you click on. So I can control the effects of this clip that I've clicked on over here in effect controls. So if I click on this clip, these are all the effects that are on here. So say I like the color grade on here, I can just click on that clip and I can copy that effect. And this is just an example of how efficient the software is, and how much you need to be recognizing when you're repeating an action that could be more automated. So say you wanted to do exactly the same color grade on all of these clips, you're not going to go through the whole process again of trying to like copy the whole curves over here and stuff when you just want the same effect. You're just going to right click and do, you can actually just do paste on the keyboard, Apple paste or command paste, whatever copy paste is, because you've gone in here and you've right clicked on this or whatever and gone copy, so you can just paste that particular effect to maybe that clip and this clip, or maybe just those 4 clips. So you can multiple select clips by holding shift, and then individually choosing the ones you want. So that's useful. Oh man, it's tempting to try and give you like a whole editing lesson like through a recording, but I'll avoid that. I try and focus just on the color grading stuff, and then I'd rather just make lots of little videos. And when you have a specific question, just please don't suffer silently or work really slowly thinking there must be a better way. Just ask me, and it's so easy for me to make these. I want to make you at least 4 of these. Anyway, so color grading. It's really just about making sure you've got the right windows open. So all of these windows are these windows. That's what these things are. And Premiere is, one of the best things about it is the layout. Like you can drag these things and move them around, and see how there's just no dead space anywhere. So just have a play. Like I would just put a bit of time aside just to kind of lay this out the way you want to, and then play with it a little bit, and then just return to the layout again. It's so nice to have a good layout. Okay, so just finally on that, actually, just things like, I see people edit with just things like that, and I'm like, oh my God, you could, you're looking at this tiny image of a thing, and there's this dead space here and here. Just bloody drag that over there, you Wally. All right, so color grading. Let's just disable this by clicking this button here. So that's disabled the effect. That's without the Lumetri effects on. So this is they're called Lumetri scopes. I think I called them that to you, but that's a bit of an, don't we need to, this is actually technically scopes. It's more of an observational thing, analysis. And it's quite fun, but I don't think you really need to look at that, to be honest. I think just working with the effects controls, timeline, obviously the source monitor, and then, yeah, okay, let's get into it. So let's work with the clip we haven't used yet. So I'm gonna make sure you are aware of where the which panel you're working on. So on this panel, you can see this is active because the blue border. So if I click on the timeline, that's active, this is active, this is active. You really want to be using keyboard shortcuts to save yourself a huge amount of time. And so I'm just going to bring in a short clip of this smoking man that you like and stick it in there. But I'm going to do it in an efficient way and just walk you through it. So making sure this window is the one that's highlighted with the blue border. I'm going to just scroll through and hit, I just want the middle bit just as the cigarette goes into his mouth like that. So I for in point, in, O for out point, out. Okay, so I can just drag that and drop it in there. And drop it wherever I like. But the more efficient way really is to have the edit line in the right place and then overwrite it in, which is comma and full stop. So comma does that, full stop does this. Comma, full stop. So you see one is creating space for itself and pushing everything up, and the other one is just overwriting it, kind of bulldozing, just dropping it in its place. So comma is always going to push the timeline along to make space for itself, and it's impossible to overwrite anything. But full stop is, you've got a risk there that it might kind of overlap something, and it might, if you're dropping a big clip in there, it might squash something that's underneath. And yeah, notice how the edit line keeps moving along, so it's quite nice. And it's going to pull from whatever clip you've clicked on. So if I do the same thing with this clip here, so I, O, you see the little blue line there. You can probably just about see that maybe. And then if I drop that in, see that's a bigger clip. But yeah, every time it's just dropping where the edit line is and then moving the edit line along. So yeah, it's a really neat way to edit. I know it takes a little while to get used to. I think it's like touch typing. It kind of feels a bit slower than just sort of dragging and dropping. But actually, once you've gotten a bit used to it, you're like, oh my God, this is so much faster. I mean, you saw how quickly we assembled this first 10% of the video, flying through clips and doing like 3 at a time. And yeah, it's really easy to tweak them. I need to resist the temptation to do a whole thing. All right, so coming back to these curves then. So you've got like 7 different options on here. In fact, you can enable or disable each one of them. But if we go to curves, hang on a second. One of these I disabled, didn't I? It was that one. So yeah, this effect is disabled. So let's start again with another one. So yeah, you can just double click in there to move that around. Actually, what I want to do is, yeah, I'm just going to work with a new clip actually. I think that will be better. Okay, yeah, let's just chuck this geezer in then. So okay, we've got a McDonald's person. All right, let's sort this out. So you need to click on the clip, and then you can play with Lumetri color. If it's not there, get the window out or change the layout up here. And then, so just the more toward the top left corner you go, the more white everything's going to go. The more toward the bottom right corner you go, the darker everything's going to go. So that's kind of exposure, if you like. If you just want to work with the high end, like the bright highlights, then just try and move this bit on the right. So we're just making the brightest bits even brighter now. In fact, we could stop the dark bits from changing at all if we do that. So now just the brightest bits are like super bright, and we can make it increasingly contrasty like that. So now this drink is really standing out. Equally, if I just double click on that to remove everything, we can make the brightest bits kind of darker, and then the darkest bits brighter. And then we get sort of this quite flat image where the dark shadows are now sort of mid-tones and the highlights are also mid-tones. So that's kind of reducing contrast in a way. So if we make this go the other way, the darks are getting darker and the bright bits are getting brighter. We're increasing the contrast. So you can see it's already quite a dark image because of, yeah, you can see 90% of the image is in the dark, shadowy bit anyway. So let's try doing this again, but just shifting everything a bit more to the left. So we're still getting a little bit darker on the darks, but generally we're just brightening everything up. So it's quite extreme, but there you go, very punchy, contrasty image. So then you can do the same thing, but with color. You can break it into the red, green, and blue. So if you want to make just the reds, you want to increase the amount of reds, you can do that. You decrease the blue. So yeah, just have a play with this. And I believe if you increase all of these colors, you are going to make it brighter. You're going to make the whole thing brighter, I think. Oh no, maybe not, huh? Okay, so it preserves the brightness. Oh wait, is that true? No, that is right. Yeah, okay, so you are making it brighter. Yeah, because you've made more red and more white and more blue, and all together they create white. So you've effectively just done that. But yeah, you can just break it down if you want to into different colors. So yeah, you can see as soon as you change anything in here, for the first time, you'll see Lumetri color appears over here as an effect that is active on this clip. And just to reiterate, you can copy that and you can paste it onto any clip at all that you want to copy that same color grade that you have done. So I think that'll do for now, and I'll let you ask me more questions.